and had a lot of fields. They had a lot of integration data fields that had to be mapped. It's moving away from that and going towards a more user role-based applications. The advantages of going towards role-based applications is you can focus on the application functions for the current user who's logged in. That helps to reduce the number of screens, reduce the number of fields, make your user experience more responsive and delightful. They are working with the web technologies, the latest ones, HTML, which has been now adopted and more enhanced by SAP with quite a few new tools in the libraries, making it more simple to implement, simple to use, and it's also coherent. It's still integrating quite a few different components of your organization into one single entry point. So there's not going to be a need for a user to hop on to 3 different portals. It's going to a way wherein there'll be just one entry point, that is the Fiori Launchpad, on which you can have your ECC, SRM, CRM, SEM, various different modules, SAP, non-SAP as well. So you can have your SharePoint apps, you can have your custom apps, all integrated into one single entry point. So that is what SAP Fiori is bringing to the table. It's completely disruptively innovating the user experience, moving away from the GUI transactions. Down below, I just have a small snapshot of a Fiori Launchpad. So the users won't have to remember any technical details like approve purchase orders or create sales orders with VA01. They'll be presented with fluid tiles that you can access through, and then these tiles will take you to the corresponding function-related application, and you can do your data entry, come out as quickly as possible, and move on to your next step. The Fiori's value proposition is, what are the different types of apps that are available Fiori? Well, it does have to tackle the everyday transactions that the user has to go through to be able to perform business. So the very first type of app is the transactional apps, which helps the user to create, change, approve different transactions in SAP. And these type of apps can be run on any database. So these are the type of apps that we can jumpstart with. So these are the kind of apps that you can get started on your current landscape by just bridging a few gaps that might be seen between your infrastructure versions. And then once you've bridged the gaps, you can really get head start into working onto Fiori for these kind of apps. The next set of apps are a little more advanced as compared to transactional, and they run on SAP HANA because we are now moving into the domain wherein you are looking at real-time information that can help you optimize your business. So there'll be analytical apps, fact sheet apps, and smart business apps which will work with different business parameters, with defined KPIs against it, with defined relations between them, and then bring up the corresponding reports and dashboards which the management team or the business improvement teams can use for making more informed decisions and decisions that can help them to realize the ROI expected very quickly. So these are the kind of apps which will need a more faster and stronger database, which SAP has introduced with SAP HANA. So if you look at any typical web hosting landscape, this is just a snapshot of all the components that are involved in that particular landscape to get the solution working. So you need a device which can give you an entry point for these applications. That can be a desktop browser, or it can be a mobile device. These devices have to be connected to the systems which bring in the business data. For these connectivity solutions, we have different options. We have typical third-party web servers like Apache Tomcat for Fiori-based applications like just the custom HTML5 applications. You could also implement Fiori within your corporate VPN. So that's another option. Or you can use SAP Web Dispatcher. Now, SAP Web Dispatcher takes away all the constraints that the other options provide. It can do load balancing. It can decide how to balance load from the users, from the applications. It can connect to different backend components. It can directly go to CRM or SRM systems for that business data, or it can connect through the gateway to your ECC system for your transactional apps. So SAP Web Dispatcher brings in a lot of flexibility. The firewalls give you the existing kind of corporate security. Beyond the firewalls, there are user authentication mechanisms that we can work with, like via certificates, via single sign-on tickets, or via user lookups by integrating your user authentication with the Active Directory or the LDAP system if there's one in your landscape right now. So that's a way to get to a place wherein you can access the applications. And Gateway, NetWeaver Gateway from SAP is the place where these applications are hosted. So the front end and the hosting of these applications will lie in this particular layer, and this layer will internally then connect via web service to your backend functional module. So this is just defining a typical web hosting landscape. Now let's look at how we can personalize or customize that architecture for your needs. For Fiori, the earlier landscape was a more generic, typical landscape. Now this is more relevant to Fiori. So for Fiori, there are a couple of options, and there's more that you can deploy these various components. You can do it via Central Hub or the embedded deployment option. About the Central Hub, it has two advantages. Your UI components and your backend components are separate. As you can see, there's a connection between the two sections. The advantage of this separation is SAP is going to release much more frequent upgrade packages for your front-end components as compared to the back-end ones. So that way, you can save time on your upgrade and testing cycles whenever these support packages come through. What is the second advantage is keeping your UI or the gateway front-end components separate allows you to connect to various SAP as well as non-SAP systems. So that way you can create a hybrid landscape wherein you're having your SRM, CRM, ECC apps all together, but you can connect them via the same connection from the NetWeaver gateway. So it will be a single point of hosting that can connect to various backends. Embedded deployment is meant for more of small-scale modular division projects. So if you don't have many applications to deploy, if your user volume is going to be very low, if you're going to do only one single ECC-based transactional app and you don't have other SAP or non-SAP functional backgrounds involved, in those cases, just to keep the landscape simple to maintain, we can also go for the embedded deployment. So what are these components? Let's look at them a little more in detail. The very first thing is the user entry point, which is nothing but the browser or the device application that is installed on your mobile devices. This particular application layer is going to work with tools like building the theme, building the view pages, building the data fields, the way that the user wants to see it. So there are different tools that you can use for defining your Fiori application on the front-end side. Then as we go on to the NetWeaver gateway component of our Fiori landscape, this is where your OData services, which connect the front-end to the back-end, will reside. These will be the models, the business models that will bring in the business data.